right, moving on to 7.0, citizens participation. Lexington County School District One's Board of Trustees solicits the advice and counsel of its citizens. To encourage this participation, the board provides a citizens participation period during our board meetings. In order to speak, you must be the parent or legal guardian of a student currently attending a Lexington District 1 school, a taxpayer residing in the Lexington District 1 attendance area, an employee of the district, or a student currently attending a Lexington District 1 school. You may comment on agenda items, school operations, policies, programs, or other matters. You may not speak about specific individuals, whether students or staff. We want to remind you that this meeting is being live streamed and that the recording of this meeting will be part of the public record in perpetuity. We want to give everyone who came tonight an opportunity to speak. And in order to do that, I will call on each speaker by name and ask you to approach the lectern at the back of the room. The board will not reply to your remarks nor take any action during the board meeting in response to your comments or questions. You may address the board for up to 3 minutes. Please do not clap or make any comments, either while an individual speaks or after he or she finishes. As you came in tonight, you received a card to fill out if you had indicated you wanted to speak. That card asks for your name, address, and other information. However, I will read only your name, the town you reside in, and the name of the schools your children attend when it is your turn to speak. If you did not fill out a card but wish to speak, please hold up your hand and someone from the communications office will provide you with a card. There's also communication staff in the hall that can assist you if you are not in the auditorium at this time. Anyone who is uncomfortable addressing the board in person may reach out to the board by email, telephone, or mail, and our contact information is available on the Lexington One website. We welcome all messages. All right. So we have quite a few of these. Do we have the other stack yet, or they're still coming? All right. Okay, yes, we have 23 to start out with, and there's more coming. So again, please hold your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone has a chance to address the board. All right, first, and these are in alphabetical order, is that correct? Numeric order. Oh, when you arrived, that's even better. All right. All right, our first speaker is Ms. Stephanie Berquist. Ms. Berquist lives in Lexington and is a parent of students that attend Beechwood Middle School.
All right, y'all obviously knew that this was going to be a really big meeting, and we are here for that reason, and we are here in force. My name's Stephanie Berquist. I have 2 kids at Beechwood. I want y'all to put down your phones and make sure that you are paying attention to all of us tonight. Look right there at that sign that's on y'all's wall. Thanks for always putting children first. Nobody up here is putting children first. You're putting politics, money, your own personal fear, one of you in particular who's in charge. Nobody's putting the children first. We have been patient for 14 months, not 14 days, not 1 month, not 2 months, not 3 months, 14 months. Nobody needs to be wearing a mask 45 hours a week. Me and my family would all be dead 100 times over if masks protected us. We don't wear them, ever, anywhere. So shame on all of you. I really want to make this really clear because this is probably our last chance to get across to y'all. We will never, ever forget what you all have done, particularly the person in charge, and we will never forgive you. I personally will not forgive you. I have my son here, my daughter has spoken, and my husband is here for the first time because although we all have things to do tonight, this is important. We are done right now. I've said it before, nobody listens, but there is a large crowd and you have to listen now. We are done. You want to wear a mask all day long? Fine, nobody's saying you don't have to, but we are not. We're done. We're not doing it anymore. And I'm tired of saying it. You all on this board do not own my children. You don't, and you don't have the right to make the medical decisions for them. I do. That's my job as their parent until somebody takes that away from me. You want us to sign away liability? Fine. Y'all want to talk about liability? Fine. We'll sign whatever you want. It's not your job and it's not your choice. It's my choice for my child. So stop whatever high horse you're on and let me continue to parent the way that I do well for my children. There is study after study after study after study after study that nobody here wants to hear about, that I know nobody swaps sides, okay? But there is study and study that shows that masks don't work. There is study that supposedly say masks do work. And that's all fine. The bottom line is there is conflicting science. You want to wear a mask? Fine. I don't. My family doesn't, and we don't, ever. I want this right given back to me, and I cannot believe that I'm sitting here in front of a board asking for it. Every single person tonight is going to demand a vote. We know the rules. Somebody up here can select to have a vote. We want to vote tonight. Chapin is voting right now. I'm getting text messages right now. There's 3 in favor right at this moment, sitting at their meeting that y'all so conveniently all scheduled at the same time because our groups support each other. And there's 3 right now, 1 against. I will get the update soon. They're voting tonight. We demand a vote tonight. And I hope that's very, very, very clear.
Thank you, Ms. Berquist. All right. Next, we have Ms. Lauren Pellington. Ms. Pellington is a teacher at White Knoll High School, and she is also our local Lexington rep for the SCEA, and her children attend Pleasant Hill Elementary School. Thank you, Ms. Pellington, for being here.
Thank you. Last I spoke was in December. I found out my family, including myself, was hit with COVID. I ran out of here. As the board knows, they saw me turn out of here. It wasn't because I was scared. It wasn't because I was scared to talk. It was because I didn't want to further infect the other people, even 6 feet away. From those that I contacted those that I was in contact with that night just to make them aware. Again, not because I was scared, but because of courtesy. I care for my community, and I know most of the people here tonight, including those that are outside that might be against my point of view, all care for the community. I provided data that night to show the surge. While there is no surge currently, there is still major concern. I want to thank Ms. Amy Woods and her team that published a video the other day with the epidemiologist. Knowledge is power, and when doctors and the state epidemiologists state that there is still importance to wear these masks, I agree. I'm going to work knowing that staff and students need to wear a mask. People that don't share this view have their own data, germs on masks, CO2 issues, etc. But the fact still stands, they do help, and in fact, specifically for the remainder of this year, as those who choose to be vaccinated do. As you listen to those that are against masks, and some of you may be as well, please know just because there aren't many that are here for masks, as I might be standing alone tonight, all right, there are plenty behind me, all right? Just remember that there was a child, an 11th grader in Spring Valley that passed away just recently, past couple of days, due to COVID. Those of you that are against the masks can attempt to infiltrate, but I back the district and back the science. Thank you, Dr. Little, Amy Woods, and district staff for what you have done. I know it may not have come across that way before, but I do back the district. Lexington One, together.
Thank you, Ms. Pellington. Next, we have Jennifer Watkins Jeffcoat. Ms. Jeffcoat lives in Lexington and is the parent of a student that attends Deerfield Elementary.
Good evening. I come to you today as a concerned parent asking for a mask choice versus a mask mandate. Our children are important to us and we care about their ability to breathe and function. I'm appalled that the district sent out a video Monday from some experts to tell me and my family how good masks are for my children. This was full of fear and propaganda, making parents believe that the only way to keep their children safe is for them to wear a mask. I believe the purpose was to deter any arguments from parents about having a choice. That's all we want is a choice. If other parents choose to put their children in masks 9 hours a day, then they should have that choice. We have a 9 and 11-year-old who are bright, amazing children, and as their parents, we will fight for them so that they believe that speaking up is better than just following blindly. We want our children to get a great education, but it has become more like a prison. They must eat in their classrooms, they must stay behind plexiglass, they must wear their masks constantly, sometimes 9 hours with limited breaks. They must play only with their peers in their class at recess. They are forbidden to interact with other classes. They must use hand sanitizer religiously throughout the day until my son's knuckles bleed for fear that his germs may get on someone else and vice versa. How is this different from a prison? My 9-year-old was asked to write an opinion piece on something that was important to him. He wrote, "In my opinion, I don't like masks because they're annoying and I can't see people's faces. I also don't like feeling like I can't breathe when I run with a mask on. I get a headache when I wear a mask, when I wear my mask too long. The other day I was wearing my mask while playing basketball in PE, and it gave me a really bad headache. I took off my mask and I felt better. My ears hurt sometimes when I wear my mask because of the things go around my ears. I can't see when someone smiles when they are trying to be nice to me, and they might think that I'm being mean. They might think that I'm being mean and ignoring them because they can't see my mouth and face. And then I can't make a new friend. In conclusion, it would be nice to not have to wear masks like we used to." This is a 9-year-old's words explaining and supporting that masks are not healthy and are psychologically damaging our children. I believe that it's totally unfair for one person to have authority over all parents and children to implement such stringent rules without knowing the real impact that it's having on our children. It is devastating that an environment has been created to make children feel like they can't play with their friends or hug their teacher for fear that that hug or game of catch will hurt that other person. All teachers and school staff have had the opportunity to get the vaccine if they wish, so why do our children have to remain masked and behind a wall of plastic? Our children should not be punished. We are not afraid, and we deserve to have a choice for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jeffcoat. Next, we have Mr. Brent Jeffcoat. He is a resident of Lexington and also the parent of children that attend Deerfield Elementary.
I had a long intro prepared, but I think I'm just going to skip right through that. Did see the video that you guys released with Dr. Jane Kelly. And so, you know, credentials are a big deal, right? Epidemiologist. I'm an engineer, okay? I'm a principal engineer. I work in the nuclear power industry. I do a lot of research. And everything, you know, credentials are great. We can stand on credentials, but you need to be able to back it up with evidence, right? And so evidence with references, and it's one thing to say, there's mountains of studies and never provide a single reference. That package that you guys just got, the red folder, there's references for everything that I'm gonna say here. So let's move right into it. Asymptomatic spread. The hairstylist argument that Dr. Jane Kelly uses, again, is really based on, okay, so it's anecdotal in nature, and I've heard this argument over and over. It's really also, I knew I was gonna lose my train of thought. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna catch it here in just a second. I'm gonna have to move right through it. It's not a real study, and it's really relies on asymptomatic spread. CDC has released a statement. They're on record of saying they're not aware of any randomized controlled trials that show that masks or double masks or cloth face coverings are effective against COVID-19. I have a reference for that. CDC themselves released that. And we all know Fauci's come out as changing his story several times. The bottom line is the science hasn't changed. The perception is what has changed, okay? Let's go into the risk statistics that I've prepared. This is for, you know, the children of South Carolina. Our child population is approximately 1.1 million. Only about 2 to 8 children have reported getting COVID in South Carolina. And this number's been suppressed by DHEC. It's 2 to 8. I think it's 2, but they won't tell us what the real number is. It's so low. But let's just go through the statistics. That's a 1 in 568,000 chance of your child getting COVID and dying from COVID. This is deaths. And a 1 in 142,000 if it's 8. Flu, by comparison, 2018, 3 deaths. In the 2018 season, 1 in 379,000 risk. I know I'm running out of time. I got to make this quick. Bottom line is, these are comparable numbers, and they're negligible, guys. I'm going to run out of time. So here's the bottom line is, you guys are going to say the information I'm providing is dangerous. I'll say it's not dangerous to listen to the information that I'm providing. We need to meet in the middle here. I'm not telling you to eliminate the mask requirement. Make them optional. Let us as parents decide.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffcoat. All right. Next, we have Ms. Rebecca Godfrey. Ms. Godfrey lives in Lexington, and she has children that attend Lexington Middle School.
Board members, from what I understand, you have not had one official vote in matters related to COVID. Why, after 14 months of being powerless, have you not changed the policies regarding emergency situations? Why have you not instituted a vote for these measures instead of having all the decisions centralized into one person? If you can't change these policies, who can? We can't. I know you have been giving input to the superintendent, but we voters don't know what that input is. So we have no way of holding you, board members, accountable. You are elected to hire the superintendent, and your actions for the past year have spoken of submission to the superintendent. Also, I've emailed all of you a number of times, and there are 4 of you who have never once even replied a single word to me in 9 months. Why? Are you too busy? If so, then maybe this is not the job for you. We need board members who are all in, not just those who fill chairs on Tuesday nights. And we need board members who stand by their convictions that they campaigned on to hold them after they're elected. You were elected because we liked your ability to think outside the box and think about things that were contrary to popular thought. Has your voice been taken away? Are you allowed to publicly express your opinion if it differs from the superintendent? Board members, I wonder. There are only 7 board members in this town of 150,000. We need to know that you are listening and that you are willing to stand against the cultural tide. Now to the masks. We all know that they block vital airways and bring harm to children. There's no way anyone could claim that they are absolutely 100% safe for 100% of the kids and teachers 100% of the time. But that is the message you are sending. What makes me equally concerned is the fact that you are happy that the children are adjusting so well to having their vital airways covered and complying with whatever they're told to do. Has it not crossed your mind that breaking down a child's will and pushing them to ignore that feeling inside of them that something is off, like masking them, can lead to greater forms of abuse? When they have a predator or someone pressuring them to do something that their gut tells them is wrong, they will be so used to ignoring that feeling inside of them that they will brush it off and subject themselves to harm. You have forced them to develop a resistance to their own intuition and have broken down their will, because we know without a doubt that every single child would never choose to have their faces covered for this long if it weren't for some severe consequences or incredible guilt. We know that kids are people pleasers, and to your shame, you have used this in the worst possible way and have caused them great harm. They haven't even been able to share a smile with their teacher in the classroom this year. Your rhetoric says you want independent learners and you want to empower students who will design the future, but your actions speak louder. It is clear that you want all Lexington One students to stop thinking for themselves and conform to something that is totally unproven and unsettled. It's time to put the brakes on and redeem what little time we have left this year by opening the door to freedom of choice. Make masks optional.
Thank you very much, Ms. Godfrey. All right, next we have Robin Von Parler. Ms. Parler is a resident of Lexington, and she is the grandparent of a student that attends New Providence.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to us, and appreciate everything the board has done over the years. I've always admired and respected the school board, and honestly, I didn't expect to speak tonight. I just wanted to hear what was going on. I feel a little naive. I don't know if I'm more sad or if I'm more disappointed, because I don't understand what everybody's talking about the board not voting on something. I'm gonna have to find out about this, but yes, I have 2 grandchildren at New Providence, and I have 2 teenage grandchildren, and we're all going through this. One of my daughters is a teacher. I have not written a speech, anything. I just know I've spent a lot of sleepless nights thinking about my little 5-year-old. And I drive up to pick them in carpool so much, and I see, one thing I've talked about with my daughter is seeing them walk out, and you don't see their smiles after a happy day. They're weary. And that just breaks my heart. I have some things on my phone that I've just collected here and what people have said and things that have struck me. I'm going to skip around. I'll pause as I try to find my notes because I really was here to listen, but thank you for hearing me. Every child needs fresh air. It's unhealthy to isolate. Masks seem to imply guilt or shame. We're used to seeing masks on little cartoon characters, you know, the people, the bad guys and stuff. And when I see all these kids come out, it's funny, they remind me of poor little Halloween kids. And so many parents are letting these children wear masks just as a costume. I see so many adults that don't have masks on, and the children do. I remember one Sunday morning, I was on the second floor. I looked out onto the playground, and I knew the parents were in the building, and I saw the children on the playground on a beautiful sunny day with their mask on them. Oh my goodness. So anyway, on down my list, something someone said on the news caught my attention, and I wrote it down. Different people are saying contact Child Protective Services. This is morally unacceptable to require masks on the children. This was striking. If my child gets a note saying every day after lunch your kid will be punched by a teacher, that's the same as requiring masks. It's child abuse. We have to speak up. We have to fight back. If we don't resist, there is no escape. This is not about science. It's a political mandate. Children don't need to wear masks. How do you teach a child? Now, some of those other words were not mine. I'm just writing a quote. But these are my words. How do you teach a child to read with a mask on? How to enunciate, how to hear correctly. How many times will a child say, "Excuse me, teacher," or how many will they not say, "Excuse me, I can't understand you"? And the number of times you have to say what to somebody, it starts becoming demeaning. Please vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parler. Next, we have Mr. Derrick Blizzard. He is a resident of Lexington, and his child attends Meadow Glen. I think he's out in the hall.
What's the name you call it?
Mr. Derrick Blizzard.
I guess it's our turn, okay.
Yes,
thank
sir,
you.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
Thank you so very much. It's a little bit disorganized out there, so. Thank you, hey, thank you for having us. This is Derrick Blizzard here. This is my son Logan Blizzard, Carrie Blizzard. We're just here to ask you, obviously implore you that you can see that this is a huge deal for the parents of Lexington, and more specifically, these children. We're in a situation here where, I mean, we keep hearing that the numbers, they mean something, but the numbers here of the people that are here tonight, this isn't by accident. I'm looking around this room and I see people that I know love their children, that are trying to make the best decisions they can for their children every single day. And most of you up there are not helping us or stopping us from making our own decisions. It's a gross overreach. And I've never spoken at one of these before. My heart hurts. Things happen outside of the school that you guys aren't aware of. The psychological impact of wearing these masks, it's more than I think these children can bear, more than what they should have to bear. The style of learning that these children are going through right now is the equivalent of institutionalized learning that inmates go through. You know, we're blessed here to live the way that we do. But children that go to school every single day that wear a mask and have to be kept behind plexiglass, it's unbelievable to me. I can't even believe I have to sit here and look at other people that I've seen and known and voted for, and even have this conversation. I know I'm running limited here on time. I'm in 19 seconds of me up. What I would say next is just, everybody here is going to ask you to end the mask mandate for schooling. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to make it optional. You don't have to end it. They can wear a mask if they want. But just make it optional for these children. Make life more normal. Let's not have any more children hurt themselves. No more children committing suicide. Let's try to do what's right for these children. And have we considered a litmus test? What happens if we just took all the children out of masks? What would happen if numbers didn't spike? If they did, we could put them back in masks. Why wouldn't we take a common sense approach and look at it in that way? And really use science instead of this N of one logic that says that one person states this is the way that it is and we must follow these guidelines. So understand that it's a gross overreach. We really think it should be voted on tonight. And, we know who every single one of you are. And it's time to make a change, and that time is right now. Thanks for having me.
Chapin's vote just finished. Masks are gone. Just spelling y'all in.
Thank you, Mr. Blizzard, and for your family for coming with you. All right, Mr. John Mew. He is a resident of Lexington,
Trying to get
and
it
his
dry.
children are unable to attend school. Thank you, Mr. Mew.
Yeah, thank you. My two girls should be attending public school this year. Unfortunately, they were denied their exemption request by the superintendent, and we were forced to make a choice: faith and principles, or tell our kids our faith and principles don't really matter. And so we had to really dig deep. We found an opportunity at Edge Christian Academy that allows parents to make choices. They believe that parents are still in charge of kids' health decisions, in charge of making the best determination for their children. Our kids have attended 5 days a week since August. They started on time, no mask mandate, limited social distancing, and the children have had a normal school year. Our kids will finish on May 28th. Our kids did not have to go through the sufferings, the tyranny, the disrespect by the board and the Department of Education for not allowing parents to make health decisions. We've been fortunate and blessed, but it came at a cost. It has cost our family. We had to invest. We are having to spend more money, not just the tax money we get to send to the district. And I appreciate our teachers. My family has teachers. I support public education. But we're paying for an education that is guaranteed in the state constitution for my children, and they've been denied that access. They were denied that access. All I'm asking for as a taxpayer, as a parent of two children who should be in public school, the school board allow parents to make health choices and decisions for their children. I ask each of you tonight, the board members, lead, take a vote tonight. Show us who is in favor of allowing parents to make choices and who's not, so that way we know who to vote out next time around. I know serving as a board member is a lot of work. And nothing you do gets praised. I get that. I thank you for your service. But I am asking you to show us, the parents, the people that elect you, where you stand on this issue so we can make decisions in the future for our children. I thank you for my time tonight. I ask that you take that truly to heart, because parents should be making the decisions of health, and faith should not be decided by the school district or the superintendent. Parents still get that right and choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mew. All right, next we have Mr. James Reynolds. He lives in Lexington, and his children attend Gilbert Elementary and Gilbert Middle School.
Just 1 second so you're not wet.
Patrick Henry asked the question, is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? So here I stand, far outside my personal comfort zone, standing against a wrong I cannot be silent about. The idea that an argument from authority automatically discounts our legitimate concern on the basis that we don't have some acronym after our name is appalling. The video sent out via text was at the least an insult to our intelligence. Finding some doctor to tell us that we don't have a choice is ludicrous, to put it nicely. Starting the video off with calling our concerns opinions and stating that they're separating fact and myth about masks is very telling of how the board views our concerns. The board seems to take the position that we're all unreasonable people for doing our own homework and raising questions about the handling of our children's safety. The last time I spoke before this body, I asked the board if they thought they had the authority of our children while in the parents' care. It seems we have our answer. I would like to also note that according to the transcript, I was never at that meeting, struck from the record as it were. Another tell of how the board views dissenting thoughts. My children are my children, and to tell me or anyone else that we don't have a choice but to in effect restrict oxygen to our children while using a service our taxpayer dollars paid for is an abuse to my children and of the influence of this board. You say the board has the skills of a diplomat, knowledge of a scholar, and the commitment of the truly devoted. As long as the board is going to require masks to be worn and not make it the parent's choice, you might as well add the audacity of tyrants to your description. James 4:17 states, "To him that knoweth to do good and does it not, to him it is sin." In 2 Corinthians 5:10, "For we must all stand before the judgment seat of Christ to give account for the things done in this body, both good and bad." So with those thoughts, I leave you with this. I demand a vote. Represent the people, please.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Next, we have Melissa Craps. She lives in Lexington and has a student that attends Lexington Elementary School.
Good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of my child. She is a fourth grader at LES. LES currently has 0 COVID cases, none. So please tell me why she has to wear a mask all day. She doesn't like having to wear a mask, and to be honest, I don't like it either. My youngest 2 children go to preschool. Them nor their teachers have worn a mask this entire time, and they haven't had a problem there. We reached herd immunity back in January, and currently, less than 1% of our population in South Carolina has COVID-19. Last March, Dr. Fauci went on 60 Minutes and told Americans not to walk around with masks on, that wearing masks gives people false sense of security. We need to stop this madness now. If parents want their children to wear a mask, that's their choice. I want my child to breathe free. Her growing brain needs oxygen. My child is prone to staph infections, and she's got 2 spots on her face right now because of mask wearing. I see no reason for a perfectly healthy child to be forced to wear a mask. Unmask our children. Give the parents the choice. School districts all across the United States have dropped mask requirements, and apparently Chapin just dropped theirs tonight. I see no reason why we can't follow suit. I am demanding a vote tonight to unmask our children. I asked my child when she got home from school today what she wanted me to tell you. I don't want to wear a mask at all. It's hard for me to breathe. I want to have a mask off all day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Craps. Next, we have Angie Peters. She lives in Lexington and has students at Lake Murray Elementary School.
Sorry. Good evening. I'm Angie Peters. I have 2 children at Lake Murray Elementary, and I have come tonight to ask you guys to please vote on not forcing our children to wear masks every day at school. They have a right to breathe freely. Last time I checked, this is the United States of America, where we are a free country. I am also allowing my daughter, who is a 5th grade student, to voice her opinion, because I feel like it is very imperative that you guys hear from the children, not just the parents, but the kids themselves. They're suffering. They're mentally suffering. They deserve to see their friends' smiling faces, their teachers' smiling faces. You guys have given the teachers and staff of the district plenty of opportunity to get vaccinated if they choose. This is a choice.
In my opinion, I really think that we should not have to wear masks, but if you want to send your kids to school wearing masks, then that's your choice. But don't force us, the ones that don't want to wear our mask, to wear them. I personally cannot breathe in school, so I always have to pull my mask down to breathe because I cannot breathe. And through the plexiglass, now that it's taken down, I'm very relieved. But when we had the plexiglass, I could not see anything that we were learning. And I demand that everyone should vote not wearing masks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peters and little Ms. Peters. Next, we have Madison Rogers. Ms. Rogers lives in Lexington and has a student at New Providence.
Good evening. I am here pleading for the choice for my children, for my 7- and 5-year-old daughters who have only begun to experience school and the joys that can come with it. Unfortunately, that joy has been tainted and turned to anxiety and dislike. My children are not currently thriving at school. Yesterday, an article was published wherein David Mathis with the South Carolina Department of Education says districts have been tracking student progress with the data revealing losses that could take years to repair. Unmask our kids and see what kind of joy you bring back to the classroom and learning. See what your scores are then. The thought of having to endure 30 more days, much less another year of their little faces tear-stained because they hate the mask and the lack of energy they have because their heads hurt, their ears hurt, their noses hurt, their face hurts. The children are not encouraged to take breaks, and they shouldn't even be in this position of having to ask to go isolate in a corner in order to have 5 seconds of a breath of fresh air. My children are slowly suffocating at your hands. The amount of cloth fibers ingested by their little bodies is slowly accumulating and will undoubtedly lead to complications if continued. For the good of the social, emotional, and physical health of our growing and developing children, it is imperative that they have full access to the capacity of air with which their lungs are able to obtain. Covering one's face for 8 hours a day, some while exerting physical activity, is unhealthy, unsafe, and disruptive to the body's air intake and therefore brain function. And yes, I have seen them running around on the playground with their faces covered. I'm sure you're aware as educated individuals that even a few minutes of oxygen deprivation can cause permanent death in certain areas of the brain, which is not fixed when oxygen is restored. To deprive a child or an adolescent's brain from oxygen or to restrict it in any way is not only dangerous to their health, it is absolutely criminal. Oxygen deficiency inhibits the development of the brain, and the damage that has taken place as a result cannot be reversed. You're inflicting psychological and emotional harm on these innocent children by forcibly promoting fear-mongering propaganda at every turn in the hallways of once cheerful schoolhouses. Children are terrified to be touched or to touch. Children are afraid of unnecessary consequences and condemnation that stems from not having their faces covered. Schools have a no-tolerance policy for bullying, but this, what you are doing to us parents, to the children, is in simple terms just that, bullying, pushing everyone around, making sure you get your way, to everyone to adhere to your way over anything else. What about these kids who have a hard time hearing? This only further complicates the matter. We have been demanding for months to see change. The answer us parents, students, and teachers are continually giving from you all is stagnant and demands reproach. We do not consent to our children being masked for 6 hours a day. Back when there was the push for 5 days, the argument was that families deserve the option of 5 days in-person learning for their children, and we deserved then and still deserve now the option to send our children to school able to breathe without restriction, to engage with one another without apprehension, and to learn without distraction. Retract the forced masking of our students, our teachers, our principals, our bus drivers, and the support staff today. I demand a vote tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. And I'm going to mess this name up. Mr. Michael would you tell me how to say it, please? Astrakis. Yes. All right, Mr. Michael Astrakis, who lives in Lexington.
The one thing that the last couple of years has told me that politicians really do know how to disenfranchise people, especially low-level ones. I really think that, according to the CDC, in 2020, more people died from cancer and heart disease than they did COVID-19. Yet, we allow our children to have food that's processed food in the school system. We allow them to wear masks, which probably has chemicals in it, can cause cancer. I think you need to give the power back to the parents. So give the power back to the parents, not low-level politicians that think they know better than the parents themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Astrakis. All right, next we have Ms. Holly Alcamo. Is that Alcamo? Alcamo? Alcamo. I didn't even have it even close to right either way.
And you even have the sheet?
Alcamo, Ms. Alcamo lives in Lexington and has students that attend Lexington Elementary, Lake Murray Elementary, and Lexington High.
Yeah, they're a little spread out. Thank you for having us today. Obviously, we all know why we're here. I have a bunch of upset parents that a year later, we're just kind of done with it. Our children are done with it. Exhibit A, sorry, buddy. I'm rolling you under the bus. I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second. This is my son, he's 8 years old. Happiest kid in the world. He has a meltdown if we're on our way to school and he forgets his mask. A solid meltdown because he's so anxious that he's gonna get to school and he's gonna face getting in trouble, or how are people gonna look at him? This isn't normal anymore. There's nothing normal about this. I thought about talking about numbers and all that. No, everybody knows the numbers. Everybody knows what's going on. So now it's just time to do it. It's time to be done with it. It's done. We should have the choice. I don't know any of y'all. I'm sure y'all are very respectable people. I did my homework. We got doctors, we got pediatricians, very educated people, and I respect that more than anything. But it's time that y'all start respecting us as parents. We make good decisions for our children. I'm not from here, I'm from California. I know about communist ways and how to live that life. I didn't move to South Carolina to live that life. I know these are like existential circumstances, and you know, we have a pandemic going on right now, and so things have changed, but it's a year later, and our children are suffering. And I know you guys aren't gonna answer questions, but when was the last time any of y'all went to a school and sat down with these kids and asked them how they actually feel about this? Who has gone to a school? School-age children, 8 years old. My youngest, he's 5, he's autistic. He doesn't have to wear a mask. Not that he would anyways. So I don't have to worry about him. My daughter in high school, popular, 4.1 GPA, all honors classes. She's amazing. She's depressed. She barely has any friends anymore. That's sad to me. I don't cry. This makes me upset. This is disgusting that you're making parents come here. I've never been to a school board. My kids never get in trouble. I have no need to come here. You have forced us to come here and stand in front of you and be emotional. I don't want to be like this. I want my kids to be happy, but I will go to war with anybody that I have to, and I will find anybody that I have to come to war with me to do it for my kids, because they're just not okay. And it's okay for them to go to school. And if the masks are safe and we practice social distancing like the schools have been doing, you can still implement stuff. You can still make it their choice. You can separate them. I don't care if I have to come and help y'all plan a way. I'll get involved. I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure plenty of parents would volunteer their time to come help figure out a plan to make it work so that kids can wear masks that want to wear masks, and kids that don't want to wear a mask because they're tired of it and they're anxious and they're over it, they don't have to wear it. We'll figure out a plan.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have Madison Holland. Ms. Holland lives in Lexington and has a student at Pleasant Hill Elementary.
Say something, just say hello.
Hello?
Okay. All right, let's try again. Let's get a little closer.
Are you Madison?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, how about
Madison
now?
is a student
Yeah.
at Pleasant
Hello.
Hill Elementary.
Okay, yeah.
All right, go ahead, Madison.
All right, so hello everyone. My name is Madison Holland, and I am a 4th grader at Pleasant Hill Elementary. And I think that we should make the mask mandate in schools optional. Myself and all of my friends have bad headaches when we come home from school because we can't breathe. I get dizzy and lightheaded also with all my other friends. I don't understand why we still have to wear a mask when teachers have the chance to get fully vaccinated and COVID-19 has proven not to spread easily through children. I'm a first-year student at Pleasant Hill, and it has been extremely hard to make friends with masks and social distancing. Just last week, I got yelled at for being close to my friend when we were playing on the playground, and it's hard enough to make friends at a new school, but you could never understand how hard it is this past year because of COVID-19. I just want my life to go back to normal and be able to play with my friends and see their faces. Like Governor McMaster said, all teachers have had the chance to get vaccinated, and parents should have the right to decide whether or not their child should have a mask or not. This needs to be voted on and decided tonight. Please let us take these masks off. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. Very nice job. All right, next we have Nicole Waters.
Please.
Ms. Waters lives in Leesville and has a student at Centerville Elementary.
Just stand here a minute so I can see if the mic's gonna be good for you, because we lowered it for her. Okay, that's fine, bring it back up. Right, now you should be good.
Okay, I just wanted to speak really quickly for my daughter who's in kindergarten. She, at the beginning of the school year, masks were optional, and she did great. Once they were mandatory, she started complaining that she was not able to breathe. Every time that she comes home, her mask is drenched, it's rancid, it smells horrible. She's 6 though, so, and she asked me, Mommy, please just tell them that I can't breathe. So every time I've reached out, I've been told to talk to somebody else, and then finally somebody just tells me that it's the CDC guidelines. I just want to, say, hey, give parents a choice to choose if, they want to wear a mask. We're no longer in the pandemic of last year, so healthy children should not have to wear a mask, and my daughter is healthy. So I'm here to just show my daughter that we do fight for what we believe in, and teaching our children that we live, in a free country, or do we just teach our children that they must obey? So please vote on this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Next, we have Ms. Debbie Heim. Ms. Heim lives in Lexington and has students at Lexington High School.
Hi, I have a summary for the secretary, a summary of my points today.
She's right next to you.
I'll hand this out very soon,
Hang on a minute, let me dry it for you.
Sure. Just let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Hello, board. It is so good to see you again. This is my favorite place to be. I have a lot I want to cover tonight. In the Code of Laws of South Carolina, Section 16-7-110, titled Wearing Masks and the Like, quote, no person over 16 years of age shall appear or enter upon any lane, walk, alley, street, road, public way, or highway of the state or upon the public property of the state or of any municipality or county in the state while wearing a mask or other device which conceals his identity. Point number 2, I'd like to make Dr. J. Bhattacharya, leading public health policy expert in the U.S. and advisor to Governor DeSantis, need I remind you, the oldest population in this country, and fully open. He was censored from YouTube when the roundtable discussion was taken down. Dr. J is adamant we not mask young people. Do our public schools provide services to the retired, the much elderly, or do they provide services to the young? Point number 3, the Annals of Internal Medicine published in November 2020 a surgical face mask study with over 6,000 participants and found no statistical significance, no statistical difference to mask wearing and acquiring COVID-19. In December 2020, researchers from the Rational Ground used data from all 50 states to have data analysts, computer scientists, and actuaries, people who are qualified to account for risk. They looked at cold, hard facts, impartial data to see if mask mandates in states provide any protection. The data was tracked from May 1st, 2020 through December 15th, 2020, and found that states with no mask mandate had 17 cases per 100,000 people per day. States with mask mandates, 27 cases per 100,000 people per day. The CDC has even reported that the vast, vast majority of people who contract COVID-19 were very good about wearing masks. Point number 5 I'd like to make from our Lexington One dashboard this morning. There are 14 active positive cases for students and 1 for staff. Our district services over 26,000 students. Does this number cover the last 2 weeks? Is that how long students are out when they test positive? Governor McMaster said on April 28th, it is ridiculous for school districts to tell parents whether or not their child should wear a mask in the classroom. That is up to the parents. It's time to unmask our children. His post about this on Facebook showed more than 4,200 thumbs up and hearts of loves with 146 sad faces. Point number 7, in an earlier board meeting it was discussed, districts who are not doing so well. And the report for this year is that they're doing far worse. Point number 8, in an exchange of emails with Ms. Green from April, Ms. Green stated the board is to, quote, establish goals and policies for the district. So I asked, what goals and policies did the board do in regards to COVID? She was not interested in directly answering that question until I asked her a yes/no question. I said, quote, your answer to this question is that the board did not set any decisions, processes, or procedures for the COVID pandemic because you believe those decisions fall upon the superintendent's responsibilities. And she responded, that is correct. Number 9, the district's website page for the overview of policies said, quote, school board members carefully develop policies, take actions, and make decisions for our schools to reflect the values and expectations of the citizens of this attendance area. And we are the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. Next, we have Jacob Heim. Jacob Heim is a student at Lexington High School.
All right, so I'm going to finish. All right, I'm going to finish point number 10. Our community has been asleep, trusting you, but your inactions and failures have woken us up. This is an opportunity to do the right thing in voting to remove the mask mandate in our district. Okay, so I'm a sophomore at Lexington High School, and nobody I know thinks that diseases are really a problem for them because we're young, fit, and healthy. Like, this isn't a problem. So nobody talks in any of the classes because the school feels like a prison. You're sitting in your classrooms all day and you aren't allowed to go into the cafeteria and socialize. It's dead quiet when you're eating lunch. So a lot of seniors I know as well, they aren't happy that you've stolen 2 classes of seniors worth of graduations and senior years. A lot of them are really pissed off and will not be voting for you in the next election. We all hang out outside of school as well, and there's 0.1% of the entire school body that has gotten COVID in the last 2 weeks, right? Yeah. And so we all hang out outside of school. So if there's that outside of school as well as inside of school with masks, the masks must not really be doing anything, and COVID must not really be a problem. A lot of my friends have told me that they're depressed a lot because they're stuck in the prison that is school right now, and they're told to not hang out with their friends because they could possibly give them a disease. A lot of my friends who would have identified as Democrat last year before COVID would now identify as Republican. They're sick of being told that they cannot hang out with their friends outside of school or inside of school. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Next, we have Matt Heim. Mr. Heim is a resident of Lexington, and his son, Jacob, attends Lexington High School.
All right, so we are here today because you are the government, especially to our children, and we tend to believe that you're overreaching. It's very important that the board knows the South Carolina Code of Laws, Title 59, Chapter 15, Section 40, gives you, the County Board of Educators, the power to prescribe rules and regulations you deem necessary or advisable to the proper disposition of matters brought before you, provided it is not inconsistent with the statutes of this state. You can vote to set policy in these schools. I suggest you use that power. Yesterday, a YouTube video was released from the school district where a medical doctor discussed mask safety. After watching the first few minutes of this seemingly scripted event, I had to turn it off. The battle of the experts is left for a judge to decide in a court of law. I see no judge before me. Rather, I see a group of elected officials sitting in elected seats which are unpaid and one who was hired as the superintendent. That video, was it propaganda? I don't know. There are many doctors who have different opinions on masks, and there is a question being ignored. That question is, what harm is being done to school-aged children forced to wear a mask all day and not socialize with their peers? There is a reason teen suicides are up and children's mental health is declining. It is because you are trying to make masks the new normal. That is too strong of a supposition because masks are not normal. Only criminals and thieves used to hide their faces, and my children are not criminals or thieves. They have smiles to share and emotions to express. Noam Chomsky said in his book, Mind Control, The Spectacular Achievements of Propaganda, quote, propaganda is to democracy what the bludgeon is to a totalitarian government. In a totalitarian government, they use the bludgeon to beat those who use their voice in opposition to government messages. Doctors telling people what is best for them. This is a classic play from Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent, sending a single-sided viewpoint by one person with a message intended to distract and control the herd was the play. Rather, what I would expect in an open and honest debate and expect from an academic is to find different ideas from the marketplace than to prove that your idea is superior through scholarship without any fallacies. There is another argument which is not being made. We have two medical doctors, one with a specialty in pediatrics. Doctors take a Hippocratic oath, and generally speaking, one of the first tenets is, first, do no harm. Healthy child development and well-being is highly dependent on emotional connection with others. Another important thing is informed consent is required by patients before medical procedures. If a patient refuses to give consent, it is illegal to force the procedure upon the individual. Face masks are authorized as personal protective devices under the US FDA Emergency Use Authorization to prevent the spread of SARS-CoV-2. The letter goes on to say, it is reasonable to believe that the authorized face masks may be effective to reduce the spread of COVID. What's really important, though, is this product is authorized under the Emergency Use Act, and it is not specifically stated by the FDA that it is not, okay, so additionally, the product must state that it is not protected or intended to protect antimicrobial or antiviral protection. Why would the FDA not approve a face mask to protect us against the virus? Maybe because it does not meet FDA guidelines and claims to protect the virus. There's a really important section, US 21 USC subsection S360BBB, section 3, which states basically that the option to wear emergency use authorization masks is a choice, and informed consent must be given. They're not giving you consent, and that's important.
Thank you, Mr. Heim. All right, next we have Pamela Gibbons. Ms. Gibbons is a resident of Lexington and has students at Rocky Creek and Meadow Glen.
Hi, good evening. Okay. It's fair to say you can see parents are fed up, children are fed up. I think we all agree that your version of choice is very different from actual choice. Let's remember the definition of it. The power, right, liberty to choose. Parents and children have not had it this year. There has been mandates, coercion, punishments, but not choice. We can all agree safety is a priority for all children. However, the safety of our children's mental, physical, and emotional health doesn't seem to be a concern to the board or the district. There has been incident after incident of children being suspended, getting reprimanded, or being given lunch detention because of what you call a mask break when they are not allowed to have one. What it really is, in reality, is wanting to breathe. Children have complained about not understanding their teachers behind a mask, not being able to see or follow properly through dirty plexiglass, being depressed, falling behind, and losing interest in their education, among many other things. This has been related to the board throughout the year and met with dismissal of these very real issues. It's also been commonly said children have adapted well. Let's remember children can also adapt to an abusive environment. Does that make it right? We have been told you always have the option of virtual, but virtual should never be a permanent fallback to an education. With my oldest, who has special needs, virtual has failed him in every way. The year has been a complete loss with regression. This setback will be detrimental for years to come for his educational development. He was not allowed in school because he physically cannot wear a mask. But we're all in this together, right? But not really. You know the stats, though your choice is to ignore them. Suicides have been up this year. Children are falling behind in education. Mental health is on a serious decline. It was stated in the board over and over in a recent meeting. However, it was looked over what is the contributing factors. Again, your choice was to ignore the why. The masks and restrictions are part of the why. Peer-reviewed scientific studies have been given to the members, but it's been dismissed because it's not your view. There were even doctors who were willing to speak regarding masks, but since it wasn't in your corner, they were silenced, and silenced by a board member here. This all needs to end. Unmask our children. They are done. We are done. No one is telling anyone else not to wear one if they choose, but there needs to be a choice with no negative repercussions on our kids, because choice and discrimination are not in it together.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Next, we have Allie Purdy. Ms. Purdy lives in Lexington and has students that attend Pleasant Hill Elementary and Pleasant Hill Middle.
Good evening. Yesterday, I was really bothered by the propaganda video that was sent out to the district regarding masks. I tried to listen with an open mind, but the more I heard, the more questions I had. Dr. Jane Kelly started off talking about vaccines and then started relating it to seatbelts and to masks. She stated that people were upset when seatbelts save lives started, but then we saw motor vehicle deaths went down. Yes, we can all agree that research was done to prove that. However, I think if people were told they had to wear seatbelts 40+ hours a week, and even when they're not in a car, people would have been upset. I then realized our school district buses don't offer our kids seatbelts. So why is it Dr. Kelly's argument was that riding in a vehicle isn't safe without seatbelts? But yet every day our district lets our kids ride in school buses unsafely, even all these years after Save a Life campaign has shown us that they are important. The district, however, mandates that our children have a mask on their faces for almost 40 hours a week with no real research showing masks and the health effects on our kids. As Dr. Kelly's direction, I decided to do some research. I found out that as per the Lexington One dashboard, that as of April 30th, we only have 22 student cases and 0 staff cases in our district. We have over 27,000 students and 3,900 staff members. Why on earth are we punishing our kids for 22 positive cases district-wide when we have numbers that are so low? I read up on the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, Volume 18, Issue 8. Physicians from New York studied the effects of wearing masks of surgical type, and amongst medical professionals, in a sample of 343 participants, 71.4% of the participants had headaches, 28 persisted and required medication. The effects intensified with prolonged usage. In a mask experiment from 2020, significant impaired thinking and impaired concentration were found from all mask types after 100 minutes of wearing these masks. Initial headaches were experienced in 82% of the 21 to 35-year-old participants when they wore masks for 18.3 days over a 30-day period, with an average of only 5.9 hours per day. The use of masks for several hours often had adverse side effects such as headaches, local acne, mask associated with skin irritation, itching, sensations of heat, and impairments and discomforts. According to a questionnaire survey, masks frequently caused anxiety and psychovegetative stress reactions in children as well as adults. Over 50% of mask wearers studied had at least mild depressive feelings. Additional fear-inducing and often exaggerated media coverage further intensified this. I ask what data has shown what this is doing to our kids. We demand a vote.
Thank you, Ms. Purdy. Next, we have Kaylee Purdy. Kaylee is a 7th grader at Pleasant Hill Middle School.
I want you to say hello so that I can see if I have it low enough. Just step right up. All right, just say anything so we can see if it works.
Hi.
Yeah, you're good. Just
Okay.
stay right there in front.
Okay, every day in our classes, we are always told to put on our masks. Well, it's really hard. Wanting to talk to your teachers or friends and then having a mask in your mouth when you speak. Also, it is really hard to hear each other with the masks. Thank goodness the plexiglass is gone because that was really hard to see and learn what was on the board. It is also always really hot in the afternoons, so we breathe hot air into our masks. We are always yelled at that our masks are off, outside, in the hall, in classes, on buses. Every day we are always yelled to put on our masks. When we are in the school, we are always told to wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart. But when we are not out
when we are out of school, we are always hugging and not wearing masks and not social distancing. Every day, kids get written up for not wearing masks. Even I have been written up once or twice for not wearing my mask. And also many students have been suspended for not wearing a mask at my school. In fact, 3 in my Spanish class have also been suspended. In Lexington District 5, they just had a vote and now they don't have to wear masks, which is fun for them, but we also wish that it was for us. The last thing I ask is we would like to have a vote.
Thank you, Kaylee. Very good job. Next, we have Nicole Roturo. Did I pronounce that right? Roturo? Can you correct me while we have a minute? Rotro. Okay, thank you very much. And Ms. Rotro lives in Lexington and has a student at White Knoll Middle School.
Sorry. Good. My name is Nicole Rotro. I'm a parent here in the Lexington One School District. I appreciate the opportunity to come and say my piece, and I appreciate the fact that everyone else has decided to show up as well. I also appreciate the fact that the school district follows CDC guidelines. I think it's really important to remember that while it'd be great not to have to wear a mask anymore, that'd be wonderful, but COVID has not gone away. Just this week, the American Association of Pediatrics released that cases for children have actually gone up to 22% of the current caseload. And granted, the concept that we have about viruses is that children only pass it to each other, and that's not true. We have staff and faculty that are exposed to kids that are coming from homes that are not following CDC guidelines and are choosing not to get vaccinated. And saying that teachers have an opportunity to get vaccinated and that should protect everyone, that's not how it works, because the COVID-19 vaccine is basically like a flu shot. So it's not going to guarantee that you don't get COVID. It just means that you're less likely to die from it. And I think it's important to not only protect our children, but also to protect the people that are working with our children. And putting everyone over one individual's wants is more important in a global pandemic. We may not see directly the effect on our own lives just every day, but a lot of people have died, and a lot of people are going to continue to die. But we need to do everything we can to help prevent that. And that's all I want to say, and I appreciate the time to come and talk to y'all tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Rotaro.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ginger Gary. Ms. Gary lives in West Columbia and has students at White Knoll Middle and White Knoll High.
I might need to bump it up.
You're fine. Okay. I didn't have anything prepared, and I appreciate you guys letting us come in. But my main thing is we want to vote on making it a choice of the parents to mask their children or not. I wrote a little bit down just so I can get thoughts on paper. It says, I'm here to advocate for all children that have to don a mask just to get an education. My youngest son has had issues with coughing, headaches, and acne due to wearing a mask. He even said that he is thankful now that it's gone. It was extremely difficult to hear and learn with both masks and plexiglass. He is a Latin student and he has issues sometimes with some of the words due to not being able to see the teacher's face. Being that I personally know what it's like to wear contacts and attempt to wear a mask, and I have donned a mask for less than 5 minutes. And I told the doctor, I was like, I gotta take this off. Can't wear it, sorry. But my exhale was going straight to my eyes, if that's what you call it. And my eyes started to dry out. So for the students that have glasses or contacts, one, the glasses will fog up, or 2, the contacts will dry out, because every time you exhale, it goes straight to your eyes. Regardless if you're wearing a gaiter, you're wearing a homemade mask, or you're wearing one of the blue masks that you can, buy at every corner store. Masks need to not be mandatory. My child does not need to sit in his classroom and pull down his mask for 2 seconds and be reprimanded for it. My son was also on quarantine before spring break due to he was a close classroom contact, which I thought was garbage. He's healthy. None of us in my house have been sick. I have not worn a mask yet. I had one office tell me, "Where's your mask? I don't want to talk to you unless you got a mask on." You're going to tell me after I've been back in your office that I now need to wear one? Because I'm sorry, her father passed away. I empathize with that. But it's a year later. The masks are done. We are all sick and tired of it. I'm tired of seeing people's faces that you can't see everything. You can't see emotion. You can't see what they're saying. I have a hard time hearing people tell me their names so I can put it in my scanner so that I can have them sign for a package. I said, "I'm sorry, I cannot hear what you're saying. Can you please pull your mask down?" I'm tired of asking people to repeat themselves, as is my child. It is not for a child to ask a teacher to repeat themselves, because over time, the child is going to be sick of asking, and so they're just going to go by. My child was an A student before this year. He's now a B student, and that's not him. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gary. Next, we have Gary Martin. Mr. Martin lives in Lexington.
Yes, thank you for hearing me. I have a 9-year-old granddaughter who goes to school in the district. She came home last week crying. I asked her why. She says because friends in her other class she can't even say hi to. Do you think I need to hear that from a 9-year-old girl? No way. Now, why I'm here is because I've been told a lie, you've been told a lie. This whole country, this whole world has been told a lie. How do I know it's a lie? Very simple. Common sense. I have never from any politician, from anybody who can cite a study that says masks protect you from the virus. None. You can't find it. It's not out there. Don't you think some common sense? If it existed, you and I would be blasted with it. We haven't been, because it does not exist. But I know of 2 studies, and actually 3, that are contrary to that. 1, a 6,000 person study out of Sweden, okay? You know what it found out? Wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. The infection rate, statistically the same, okay? CDC buried a study from March of 2020 to December of 2020. They did a study, wearing mask, not wearing a mask, right? It came out on a Sunday. Why did it come out on a Sunday? Because they wanted to bury it from the media. You know what that came out to be? Wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. Statistically the same, no difference. Don't you think that if it was true that wearing a mask protects you, that they would be blasted over the airwaves? Silence, dead silence. There's a reason why dead silence. They don't want to hear it. This is for political reason. I'm sick of it. It doesn't do any good. Just recently, 2 professors out of MIT did a study on distance. You know what they found out? Their words, not mine. 60-foot and 60-foot difference from people. There's statistically no difference in virus transmission. None. None. Do you hear that? None. My son didn't wear a mask at work. Those who did all got sick. He never got the virus, and he has cystic fibrosis. Never once got sick. He lived with 2 people that got the virus. He never got sick because he never wore a mask. I'm sick of the lie. I hope you are. You know that Lexington Richmond 5 voted to get rid of the mask? They don't work. The virus is so small, it goes through any mask. Please vote tonight to end it. Please. Follow the science.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
follow
Martin.
the science. You are not.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Next, we have Justin Silver. Mr. Silver lives in Gilbert and has students at Gilbert Middle and Centerville Elementary.
Probably won't take the whole 3 minutes, but I just wanted to address the inconsistency with the mask. If a child has the mask pulled down below their nose, they get detention, lunch detention. I know for a fact, I have photo evidence of teachers with the mask underneath their chin during class. So if my daughter is going to be punished for this, why are the teachers not? If you can't enforce this, then drop the whole thing. It's ludicrous. My mom went to a nursing home. She wore a mask, the face shield, the cap, the gown, gloves, booties. She still got it. It does not work. This is about control, and that's it. And we're pissed. Enough.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. All right, next we have Anderson Stumpf. Mr. Stumpf lives in Lexington. Are you Anderson? All right. Mr. Anderson Stumpf is a 4th grader at Rocky Creek. All right, take it away, Mr. Stumpf.
Okay, I'm here to say why I don't like wearing a mask. I was talking to people in my class, and I'm sick of hearing people say how they don't want that, or it hurts their ears because they have to wear a mask, or people who have small ears and they can't hear because it crumbles their ears, or how you can't hear somebody because their mask is too tight, or their mask, you just can't hear through the mask. And it doesn't make sense to me. If I go outside for recess or anywhere, and I drop my mask and somebody picks it up and they touch where my mouth was and they get germs on their hand, and then I get germs on my mask and I put my mask on and I breathe it in, and then I get sick, and then they touch the inside of their mask and they get sick. So I think that kind of defeats the purpose of wearing a mask. And also, I'm sick of I just don't like going up to somebody and they tell me something. I'm like, can you say that again? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Because I can't hear from my ears and I can't hear from what they're saying by that. And that's all I have to say. Yes.
We'd like them to have a vote so they actually have a choice on if they have to wear a mask. Because the only people that haven't had a choice are the students and the parents. We're being dictated by all y'all on what we have to do. And that sign out there that says 6 feet, and you guys are going by the CDC, I'd like to put a big X through it and write 3 feet, which is what the CDC changed it to. But you guys haven't updated that. So that stupid little message that the lady did, facts versus fiction, she also said 6 feet, but it's been updated to 3 feet. So she was speaking fiction, and we're all sick of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anderson. You did a great job. Next, we have Jackie Bruce. Miss Bruce lives in Gilbert and has a student at Gilbert High.
Hi, my name is Jackie Bruce, and I'm a paramedic. I have been for 40 years. My son Trey got sent home for the 3rd time today because he had a cough. He has letters from his doctor saying he has allergies. I want to know who's going to pay the doctor bill when I take him to the doctor tomorrow. This is getting a little bit ridiculous. I kept him home the first 9 weeks of school because I had COVID and I wanted to make sure he didn't have COVID to spread it to everyone else. We've all been tested. I've had my vaccinations. He comes home every day upset because he has to wear a mask. This is probably the cleanest child you have ever seen, as far as me drilling into him, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. The masks do absolutely nothing. I know that for a fact. Because like I said, I've been a paramedic 40 years. I'm forced to wear a mask at work. I don't want my child to be forced to wear a mask. He's to the point to where he is getting suicidal. He hates not being able to talk to people. He hates not being face to face. He was an AB student till he had to do the online. He went to D's and F's. He's back to A and B student now. But pushing the fact of wearing a mask is getting totally ridiculous. I'm demanding a vote tonight. I'm not asking, I am demanding a vote tonight. All of the facts that y'all are getting are not the real facts. You need to read up on them yourselves, each and every one of you. Most of the CDC stuff is not what they're being fed. Y'all are being fed false facts. And I would appreciate a vote tonight. Thank y'all kindly.
Thank you, Ms. Bruce. All right, you will be happy to know that we are halfway through the folks that want to speak. So, starting with number 30, Monica Lee.
I might have to lower.
Ms. Lee lives in Lexington and has students at Rocky Creek and Beechwood Middle.
Thank you for finally letting us in. It's freezing out there after being poured on in the rain for so long. Sorry, I'm not a speaker at all. I pulled my children out of public school because I won't force my children to wear a muzzle. I think you need to keep your politics out of our children's lives. It's time to let kids be kids. They deserve to see their friends smile. You should see all the children outside running together, playing, laughing, enjoying each other like kids should be. It's time to let parents decide on what's best for their children's health. There's no science in the masks. Please stop pushing your personal opinion on our children. I demand a vote on the mask mandate tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Next, we have Teresa Goff. Ms. Goff lives in Lexington and has a student at Rocky Creek Elementary.
First, I want to thank y'all for letting us speak tonight. I honestly didn't plan on speaking tonight. I came for support, but I'm here for my grandchildren and my great nieces and nephews. I have a grandson that lives with me. He's 8 years old, goes to Lexington District One. He's on the spectrum. It's hard for him to even eat certain things because of texture, much less have to wear a mask all day long. His little face is breaking out from the mask. And now when he gets out of school, a lot of times when he takes the mask off, he feels like he has to throw up from having it on all day. I really do believe, just like some politicians believe, my body, my choice, these are our children's bodies, and it should be their choice and their parents' choice. I live in Lexington, the town of Lexington. I pay Lexington town taxes. I pay Lexington County taxes, and I support the school district in District 1. And I demand that we have a vote to unmask our children tonight. And I really do thank y'all for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goff. Next, we have Thomas Casrio? Cassio, all right. Casleo, I see. I tried to get it right. Mr. Casleo lives in Lexington and is the grandparent of students at Pelion, Red Bank, and Pelion Middle.
Just step up and
Okay.
make sure.
All right, well, thank y'all. I want to appreciate everybody coming, all our citizens that came in support of, let's be bold. Let's move forward. Let's make some change. It's time. I think we've lived under this curtain or veil or whatever we call it with COVID. It's time. There's a lot of proof out there that it's time. I'm a retailer in the town of Lexington. Work at a grocery store, manage it. When this thing started, it came all the way at us. We had 5 cases of COVID in a year, working with 8,000 people coming in our face. Now, didn't hear about the flu. That thing disappeared really quick. You know, I'm not vice on it. I'm not a doctor that can say, hey, here's what it is, but that's what I lived. Now, getting back to what I lived, I got 5 grandbabies. And my little grandbaby, Grayson, she goes to Red Bank Elementary, and she has a little skin condition, and she's a beautiful child. And then the mask is causing her to break out all around her face. And, you know, it just makes me get emotional that there's other effects of this, the psychological effects. Like I say, you got to listen to the kids. All of them are saying, there's a little girl out here, and I said, and I just said, what do your fellow students say when y'all talk about, we hate this mask? I think it's y'all's job to listen to them. I can tell you all day long, but have y'all went into schools and talked to the students and said, hey, what do you feel? You know, all I hear out there about the CDC is that the kids aren't really affected. Well, why are we affecting them in this way, a mental capacity, a medical capacity for many of them? My sister was the one that just left. That's my nephew that has the autism. And he struggled with just eating broccoli because of his condition. So why are we gonna put something on them, even more of a burden on our children than we should? I'm asking that y'all vote tonight to remove this mask mandate, not for me, not for all these adults in the room, but for the children that y'all represent. Y'all are their voice y'all are their voice. Y'all need to be the right voice. That's all I'm asking. Appreciate what everybody does. You know, a lot of us ain't up there on that board right there. Hopefully y'all will make the right decision and vote tonight. I've heard Lexington 5 voted again to do away with it. Let's follow. Let's be bold and move in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassio. Next, we have Kevin Neiswanger. Did I say that right? Mr. Neiswanger lives in Lexington and has students that attend Pelion.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't plan to speak, never have spoke at board meeting, but excuse me, I have 2 grandchildren, and I had a 4-year-old who's in a 4K, and he asked me, am I gonna die if I have to wear this mask? It was hard. I really do hate breaking down over that. That was a real eye-opener to me. And I know that you can have statistics on anything. And whatever way you want to make them point, you can do that. I just hope that you all will vote to suspend the masks, or at least make it an option. And that's all I'm asking for. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Neiswanger. Next, we have Gregory Lefley. Mr. Lefley lives in Gilbert and has students that attend the Gilbert schools.
Can you stand here so I can see?
I appreciate the opportunity coming out here tonight. I do not have a prepared speech. I wanted to say that for 16 years, I've been blessed to be a father. And for all of those 16 years, I've been able to make all the decisions for my kids. What church they go to, what school they go to, what baseball team they play on. This mask issue has taken that away. So kindly, here tonight, I'm asking the board to vote. Give us the option to do what we feel is right for our children. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lefley. Next, we have Sean Daughtry. Mr. Daughtry lives in Gilbert.
Thank you for letting me come and talk. I didn't have a speech prepared. My daughter goes to a private school here in Lexington. I'm fighting the same fight with them to help get rid of the mask requirement. I watch her come home every day, miserable from this, tired of wearing it, telling me how it's driving her crazy. You guys sit up there mandating that these kids wear these masks. Think about that. You're telling every family in your school district what's best for their kids and taking away their right to determine what is best for their children's health. What if I come to your house and start telling you what's best for your kids and you have to follow my words? Would you like that? No, you wouldn't. You'd be angry, you'd be upset, and you would demand that this stop. This is tyranny. This is communism. We live in the United States. Quit taking away our civil liberties. Quit telling us how to handle our children and what's best for their health. You have conflicting information being fed to both sides. There is no proof these masks work. The CDC has even put that in writing, and you guys always go back to DHEC and the CDC. Well, if there's no proof, stop the tyranny. Richland, Lexington 5 did it tonight. Y'all need to find the courage. Because if you don't, we'll make sure every one of you is voted out of these seats. We'll find people that will have that courage. And we will lead that charge to replace you guys with people that will hear our voice, will stand up for our kids, and will protect them, because there are studies that show the damage that's being done to these kids. And you're sitting there looking at me, you're the one that's causing this, and you need to stop. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Daughtry. Next, we have Aaron Berquist. Mr. Berquist lives in Lexington and has children that attend the Lexington schools.
I think we're probably going to come up.
I'm good, you're fine. Yeah, my son and my daughter both go to Beechwood Middle School. Earlier today, I heard some young lady come in here and talk about how this is being run like a prison. These schools are being run like a prison. 14 years I worked for the state system inside the state prison. This is what it is. You guys are telling these kids what they can and cannot do, how they have to take care of themselves. It's ridiculous. It's tyranny. I just sat in that room, and young lady right here, we're about halfway done. Are you guys that bored? Is there a big applause just because we're halfway done? You guys, this is serious. Over 60 people out there are wanting to talk about this. Get rid of these masks. I demand a vote tonight to make it optional.
Stop being commies. I demand a vote tonight. Get rid of these masks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berquist. Next, we have Michael. I'm going to need help with your last name, Mr. Sinini?
Sinini, correct.
Sinini, I got it right. He lives in Lexington and has a student at Rocky Creek.
Yes. Guys, come over here. These are my two children. They go to Rocky Creek as well. We've moved here from Greenville about 8 months ago. Since then, they have been suffering and exhibiting sort of these really stressful anxiety issues, disorders, psychological, as we've seen before, these studies coming out. My son is twitching all the time when he's at home, watching TV, things like this. We have no social life anymore. If you don't know what's going on by now, maybe you need to snap out of it. Okay? This is getting ridiculous. There is no scientific basis for the damn mask, and you all know it. Stop it. Snap out of it. I got it, okay? I got it. But this has gone on long enough. This is getting ridiculous, you guys. Come on. How many studies need to come out? People are coming here with their masks on. All this number juggling. Stop treating us like we're idiots. make the vote tonight.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Sylvia Giarusso. She lives in Lexington and has students at Rocky Creek.
Good evening, everyone. I suppose you are all tired, so I will be very brief. Just please remove the mask from our children's face, and I demand your vote tonight, not tomorrow, not any other day, but tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giarusso. Next, we have Michael Travis Brown. Mr. Brown lives in Lexington and has students at Pleasant Hill Elementary.
Hey, guys. Thank you for letting us come in and talk tonight. I appreciate it. I'm here tonight to speak for my two children. I have a first grader and a fifth grader at Pleasant Hill Elementary. My first grader really wanted to be here, man, and she has got a spirit. I really wish she would have been here to talk to you tonight, but she had to choose between this and karate, and karate won. All right, so I'm speaking for her. First of all, masks don't work. I think everybody knows that in the beginning. Everybody questioning it, but after a period of time, we've kind of accepted it, and there's all these CDC things that, they've changed their position on it. Of course, they didn't recommend it prior to coronavirus, but they felt the need to do something, so masks have been the subject lately and what they're now recommending. But we know they don't work because of the size of the particles. If you think about it, the virus is 0.06 microns. That's not numbers I'm making up. You can look them up. The average surgical mask pore size is 5 microns, which is 88 times the size. If you multiply that out, do a little math, things like a mosquito would be caught by a 3-foot wide net. 3-foot square would be the center of like the holes of the net. It's just ridiculous to think that you could catch such a thing as a virus with a paper or cloth mask. In fact, that's why there are really no recommendations of what the mask has to be made out of. People are making them out of pantyhose, you're making them out of cloth, any kind of fabric you can find. We all know it's not about filtering the virus. We've all seen the little heat smoke thing that they've put out, where the air is kind of hovers closer to your face when you breathe out, and nobody's arguing that it restricts airflow. I mean, that's the reason we're here. It does restrict airflow. Particle size is the problem, and the particle is actually pressurized and shot possibly further than the 6-foot radius because of the mask, similar to a water hose. All right, I'm gonna skip a little bit because it goes faster than you thought there on the 3 minutes. All right, cleanliness of the mask, obviously, these kids aren't cleaning their mask, man. I mean, how many parents are actually, sanitizing their mask at the end of the day? And if they're wearing their mask into restrooms and such, they've got things like fecal matter and things that the mask actually can catch, in the mask, and bacteria breeding in it, and the hot, moist air that they're breathing in that mask all day is fermenting day after day after day because these masks aren't being sanitized every day. Send a mask to the lab, have it tested. The psychological impact of this thing is really hurting the kids. The kids are gonna grow up hypochondriacs. They're scared of every germ, scared of social interaction. My daughter has come home crying and even said that the teacher's been crying because of the stress of having to keep the mask on first graders. It's terrible. I'd ask you guys to please vote on this. It makes sense. Do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next, we have Richard Wilson. Mr. Wilson lives in Lexington and has a student at Gilbert High School.
Sorry. Yeah, I know most of the people up here, all of y'all are educated. And I know that you've known your history, you've studied history. And right now, America can only be pushed so far. And right now, with all the lies that are being told by the educators of this country, you're pushing America to a point where you don't want it to get to. The masks do not work. It's been proven time and time again. If you would just research and study the history of the hijab, which is exactly what these masks are, it's a hijab, they are made to make people conform to the wishes of the master. And these children do not need to be run or told by masters what they can and can't do. I love this country. This is not yet a fascist socialist country, but the people that, like y'all, are pushing us to becoming fascists and socialists by implementing the rules and laws that you're trying to force down the throats of the people. It's not needed. This country is a great country still, and there's a lot of changes coming to the country, and these masks are hurting the children. Like the gentleman before said, there's been many, many studies that the psychological damage that it's doing to the children. I mean, I've got grandchildren that are made fun of at school because they don't want to wear the mask because they can't breathe, and the kids bully them, and it's increasing the bullying in all of our public schools. This is not necessary. Y'all know it in your hearts that this is wrong, and you need to stand up for your constituents, the people that voted you into this office. You didn't buy your way or pay your way in. The people voted you into this office. You need to respect the wishes of the people that voted for you. Let them know that you have our backs, that you agree with us, and that this is a ridiculous requirement that is harming the country and our children. So I ask that you tonight, if you would please, just think for a second, look at all the facts, and you know the facts, and vote to get rid of this mandate, because you know it is illegal, it's against the law, it's against the Constitution. There are groups out there, and they're becoming more and more vocal, that there's a group of doctors that have started up a group with thousands of lawyers, and they're now starting to show the people that if you're made to wear a mask, you can take them to court and sue them. And just listen to the people out here right now, they're becoming more and more aware of what's going on. And you're getting ready to see a lot of lawsuits because people are really tired of being told what they can and can't do. This is still America. It's not a communist nation. It is America. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Next, we have Michelle Fagan. Ms. Fagan lives in Lexington and has students that are usually at Saskatha.
Usually at Saskatha. However, since the mask mandate, he is doing K-12, South Carolina Virtual Charter Academy, because of the psychological abuse that would be put on him by wearing a Petri dish on his face hour after hour. He cannot do that. He will not do that. Mother's intuition. I know what's best for my child. If other people want to wear a mask, fine. We should have the decision to send our children with or without a mask. You want to wear a mask? Fine. I demand a vote today, tonight. This is our children, not the school district's children, our children that are being harmed, breathing in their own germs, lack of oxygen. I demand a vote. They're not your children, they're our children. Should be our choice. If other people want to wear a mask, fine, they can wear it. These are our children. I demand a vote now.
Thank you, Ms. Fagan. Next, we have Julia Purvis. Ms. Purvis lives in Lexington and has a student at Lake Murray Elementary.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Julia Purvis, and my daughter is in kindergarten in Lex 1. This year has been difficult on all of us. Anxiety and depression are through the roof, and it's affecting the youngest of our population. In class, my daughter is learning a lot about kindness and how to be kind to your friends and classmates. During morning meeting, her teacher went around the circle and asked each student to share one thing they could do to show kindness to someone. When it was my daughter's turn, she sat there and shook her head. Her teacher gave her extra time to think of something, but she couldn't come up with anything. Later that evening, I asked her why she wasn't able to come up with an example of kindness, and she sadly admitted to me that it was hard to come up with anything because she can't give hugs or smile at her friends through the masks. This completely broke my heart. She's 6 years old and has been conditioned to think that even a simple act of kindness to a friend is not allowed due to the policies that you have implemented. She has to use a microphone in order for her teacher and her classmates to hear her when she's answering questions. We have to start looking at the bigger picture here. We have complied for a year and have seen that this virus does not affect children the same way it does as adults. There are 2 vaccines available to everyone over the age of 16, including teachers. So why are children still being asked to carry this burden? It's time to give our children a choice. If the mask policy is not dropped, you will see changes, and it will start to directly affect your pocketbooks. I promise that there will be a mass exodus of students that will be pulled from the schools and will choose a different option that will not line the pockets of those who want to drag out these archaic policies and procedures that are doing so much damage to our children. I'm begging you to bring this to a vote tonight and make masks optional immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Purvis, and your assistants.
Thank you.
Next, we have Alyssa Ailman. Ms. Ailman lives in Lexington and is a 9th grader at Lexington High School. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Alman?
Alman?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, my name is Alyssa, and I am a student attending Lexington High School. I am tired of these masks. Students are tired of these masks, and it's affecting the way students are learning. It's hurting them too. Do you really want these kids to feel like this? We are slowly suffering. Students aren't happy anymore. We feel trapped, and we feel we are being controlled. Some students prefer a mask and some don't. At least give them the opportunity to choose. I demand a vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. Very nice job. Next, we have Ivelisse Ortiz Hernandez. Ms. Ortiz Hernandez lives in Lexington and has students at Pleasant Hill Elementary and Middle School.
Let's see if I need to lower it.
I'm here in behalf of my children. I was not planning to speak today. I have a 1st grader, a 3rd grader, and a 6th grader. The 2 youngest ones are both preemies and struggle to breathe through the mask. I have picked up my children from school, and the first thing they told me is that they have a headache, that they feel like they are going to throw up. My boy is having a lot of sinus problems. He is really upset because he cannot make any friends. He's struggling socially. I kept him at home until December, just because I wanted to avoid the mask mandate, because I knew that neither of my boys could handle it. I tried to get the principal to listen to us, but I was told that if I didn't like the policy, that I just need to teach them at home. Am I capable of teaching them? Yes, but I have to work. And my children were struggling in their online learning, especially my 3rd grader, who has some issues with learning. I need my child to be comfortable when he's learning. I need to be able to interact with other children so his mental state doesn't go to a point where he feels he doesn't have an outlet. We need to do something about it. This has to be optional. We cannot keep doing this to our kids. My daughter is new to middle school, and she's constantly complaining of the acne issues, and her face is constantly breaking out, the sweating in her face, having to breathe with the dirty mask all day. I'm sending my kids with multiple masks, but let's face it, children touch their face all the time. And there's nothing you can do about it. Are we doing them any favors by putting a mask? When are they more likely to touch their face? With a mask or without it? If they're wearing a dirty mask, are we doing them any favors? I don't think so. Please, take a vote. Find the courage to do the right thing for our children. This is not isolated to my kids. I've seen it in many of them. Please, find it in your heart to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz Hernandez. Next, we have Travis Bethune. Mr. Bethune lives in Lexington and has a student at White Knoll Middle.
Good evening. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places." I'm here because this is pure evil. This is. Evil has fallen upon our country like no other, and this is one form of it. There's many, spreading like a cancer. One is masks, the other is critical race theory. I will not, and I'm digging, I want to know what's in my son's curriculum. If there's a whiff, you'll see me every meeting. I don't want to see any of this mess being shoved down my son's throat that he was born inherently racist and he's a bad white kid. That's racist within itself, and it will not be tolerated, and it's spreading like a cancer through the liberal mindset. But anyways, I'm here to stand for freedom for myself, for my kid. I have just a few questions, and I hope they will penetrate the minds of some thick skulls in here. What happened to rational thought and independent thinking? What happened to common sense? What happened to personal and independent responsibility? What? Isn't that America? That's what we're supposed to be founded on. Stop dehumanizing our kids. You're making them less than human. And you know what? My wife almost died from COVID. We went through 2 scares. I get it. I get it. I do. He should probably wear a mask. You know that? Let them make the decision. I'm pretty fired up. I got a lot of things I want to... Question, what happened to the flu? I challenge you to look at the flu numbers. Please, look. It's interesting. 337 dead. Kids, out of 448,000 dead, 337, you do the math. Why is the teachers union lobbying the CDC? Put that your pipe and smoke on it. What? Stop playing games with the kids. We in the South are supposed to be known for standing on the Constitution, liberty, freedom of choice. Some of you are tuning me out right now. I can see you checking me out. Why don't you tune in? Your country is slipping away, and some of you are just flying by, catching a check on the government dole. My kid's going through a preteen identity crisis with a mask on. Unelected politicians are not here to determine how you are supposed to make decisions for my kid in this district, your constituents. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Bethune. Next, we have Carrie Snyder. Ms. Snyder lives in Lexington and has students at Meadow Glen Middle and River Bluff High School.
Let me try it. Okay. Hi. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I just stand with all these parents who are super angry and upset about the mask mandate. We have kids who are suffering. You've got kids who are extremely depressed. I've got kids who hate going to school every day because they're forced to wear a covering over their face. They're not meant to be this way. Things are not meant to be this way. So I stand with all of the parents outside who are angry, upset, sad, mad, pissed off. We're ready for change. You guys can make it happen, so do it. You were elected and you were put here to represent us. Do your job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Next, we have Rick Bailey. Mr. Bailey lives in Lexington and has a student at River Bluff High School.
Thank you for what you do. I identify as a Christian male father, husband, military veteran, patriot, and South Carolinian. I'm here today because I am awake to the gradual decline of our country, which has accelerated since November 3rd, 2020. We can no longer let others think for us and do to us what is in their best interest. We have no choice other than to take time and energy away from our family and to fight for our rights and freedom. We are the majority, not the minority. the media wants you to believe. I'm requesting the board to be effective immediately recognize my right as a tax-paying resident of Lexington County School District 1 and a legal citizen of the United States of America to remove the mask requirement and instead make them optional. I'm not going to argue science or reference studies, of which there are many, that directly contradict the propaganda designed only to promote fear and diminish our rights and freedoms. I would like to reference our Governor Henry McMaster, who recently posted on Twitter, quote, "It is ridiculous for school districts to tell parents whether or not their child should wear a mask in a classroom. That is up to the parent. Every teacher has the opportunity to get vaccinated. It's time to unmask our children," end quote. New quote, "Local cities and counties need to drop any remaining restrictions they have in place. It's time to wrap this up or I will do it for them," end quote. A statement regarding the experimental DNA altering shot commonly and incorrectly referred to as a vaccine. I certainly respect those that have decided to get the shot. You have the right to make those decisions. Also, understand as many as 70% has decided not to get the shot. This is also our right and our decision. Lastly, our teachers, children, and I certainly do not need to be pressured or bullied otherwise. Today, this meeting, this forum is meaningful. This matters. I want to encourage everyone to be confident and express yourselves and be heard. I respectfully ask for action and resolution on this topic today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Next, we have Michael Oxner. Mr. Oxner lives in Lexington and has students that attend Lexington Middle and River Bluff.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I actually live in this neighborhood, so I was excited when I found out about the meeting tonight. But my children go to River Bluff and Lexington Middle, and they've been virtual this entire year because I can't force them to wear a mask. And my son's got asthma. When he puts something like that on his face, it makes it even worse. So it's not good for him to be around anybody wearing a mask, or, you know, just him wearing a mask at all limits his breathing, and I'm not gonna put him in that situation. So I'm here for my children, my friends' children, that this is a bad situation. And if it was optional, you give the parents that are out here fighting for their children the option of wearing the mask or not. So I think a vote on it tonight would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oxner. Next, we have Michael Barrett Mccown. Mr. Mccown lives in Lexington and has students at Meadow Glen and formerly Midway.
All right, guys, my name is Michael McCown. I'm a Lexington 1 student. I've been here since 1986. I mean, Kathy and I grew up together. I've known her since I was about this tall. I'm here only because I'm just very passionate about this district, and this is the reason that a lot of people came to this district and live in this town, is because of these schools, right? And that's why I'm here, and that's why all these people are here, is because people are just so passionate about this. And as you can tell, that there's a movement, right? There's a movement of people out here that are spending their time out here when they could be at home. It's my son's birthday right now. My son's birthday, and I'm here fighting for him, you know? So I want to be clear. What we're arguing here has nothing to do with teachers, has nothing to do with us, has nothing to do with staff, has nothing to do with y'all. Y'all are not important. We're not important. The teachers are not important. What's important is the kids. That's what we're here to fight for. So again, I'm not here to talk facts. I'm not a doctor. So I'm just a humble man with a simple question. What are you so afraid of? Write it down. I'm assuming Micah Anderson and Greg Little are writing down because I can't see their eyes. But write that down. Good, thank you. Write that question down. What are you so afraid of? Make them optional. I wrote on the shirt so you can see it. And think about it. If we're not the majority, If this is just the minority of people that just are super passionate, make it optional. If we're the minority, only a few kids are gonna change, right? All the rest of them are gonna wear masks. It's gonna be fine. But the truth is, and we all know it, we aren't the minority. We're the majority. So, it makes me think, what's the plausible reason why behind that? My answer would be control, right? Control. And remember, these kids are not y'all's to control. They're really not even ours to control. Our job is to lead them in the best way that we can, right? Lead them in the right light, lead them in the godly direction, and hope that they work out. You can't control them. We can't either. I do want to say this. Based on the agenda, Dr. Little is going to talk a little bit about mask safety, so Dr. Little, thank you for that. So I encourage people to listen. Listen to Dr. Little tonight. Listen to what he says about masks and take that in. But if we make the choice, because we agree with Dr. Little, we're like, hey, it's a good idea. I'm going to put my kid in a mask because it makes sense. Then I have that choice. Respect the parents and respect the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCown. Next, we have Catherine McCown. She is a resident of Lexington and has students has a student at Meadowglen Middle and formerly at Midway.
Nope, you don't have to wipe anyways. Okay. Dr. Little and board, I come to you as a very concerned parent. Dr. Little, can you please look at me as I'm speaking? Thank you. In the Bible, God tells us that children are a blessing and a gift. Their spirits are filled with innocence, joy, and laughter. I have gotten report after report of a lot of teacher friends, and they're saying that kids are sad, that they miss their teachers' smiles. Kids are depressed. They miss their normal school life. I'd like to break it down from a biblical perspective, if I may. You are breaking the will of our children. You're breaking their will. By making them compliant, which is the most dangerous thing you can do to a child, to these rules, to these mask mandates, you're teaching them to ignore that still small voice inside of them that tells them something's not right. You're telling them to ignore that. Shame on you. Shame on you, Dr. Little. You should know that in Matthew 18, 6-7, it says, whoever causes a little one to stumble, it would be better for him if a weight were hung around his neck and drowned in the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for they must come. But woe to that man whom the offense comes. You are using these masks as a tool to push fear into our children's minds. Fear is not of the Lord, but comes from the great deceiver. And in 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. I'm sure you all know that verse. I've heard that most of you are actually believers, which is surprising. I have a question for you as well. What exactly are you so afraid of? Write that down. What are you so afraid of? Why are you pushing your fear on our children? Where is your faith? Where is it? I don't see it. I have heard from many teachers and have read at least 10 emails pushing your vaccine agenda. And I believe that is coming down next. We will be ready. In closing, I would like to pray. God, help me to find strong people on this board that will stand with us, that will be direct with me, but also see my heart and my intentions. Thank you for those that are here standing for truth and for what is right. Bless them and protect them. Help us to continue fighting for our children, the vulnerable, and for the teachers that fear speaking up in fear of losing their jobs. I pray you would soften the hearts of every board member here, and I please, Lord, open their eyes. Give them the courage to do what is right. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Ms. McCown. Next, we have Sarah May. Ms. May lives in Lexington and has a student at Carolina Springs.
Let me see if I
need to lower it.
It's fine. Hello and good evening. I have 2 young children in elementary school at Carolina Springs, and I am asking for the right to choose what is best for my children. I have a bachelor's degree in public health and a bachelor's degree in nursing. I am no stranger to research and evidence-based practice, but it has been over a year and this has gone too far. I left my home state where I resided for over 20 years because I wanted this freedom I am asking for. I watched my children suffer. Increased isolation, inactivity, and snacking resulted in decreased health status. So my husband and I packed up our things and drove across the United States for our children. I also have family in Idaho, a niece who is back to school full-time with no mask. Her father is headed into a surgical residency, and he has not seen any negative effects from what they are currently doing in Idaho. So please, look at other states that are open and evaluate what is going on and give us the right to choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. May. Next, we have Braylon Bowers. Braylon is a 5th grader at Meadow Glen Elementary.
So first I'd like to say that when I go to school and I have to wear the mask, every day I go in and the teacher the people make me wear the mask. And then, so I walk in with all my friends with the mask on, trying to talk, it's hard to hear them. And you can't see the smiles, you can't see anything. And then I get headaches from the mask. So like my teachers will force me to wear the mask and my head will hurt, and then when I take it off, I get in trouble. So there is like, I get in trouble for just trying to make where I don't feel pain. And then like socially, like whenever we're talking and all this, my teacher will try to like speak up and stuff. You can't hear her as well. And it's just, you can't do anything about it because there's a you can't do it because there's a mandate. So, I mean, you can't say that, you can't socially talk to anybody, and it's harder for the teachers, it's harder for me, and it's just bad. And I think my parents should have a choice whether they want me to have the choice not to wear a mask and like not have a headache and be socially active, or not and be safe and theoretically from COVID. And so I just think we should have a choice and that y'all should vote. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Braylon. Very good job. Thank you for coming to speak to us. Next, we have Lisa Bostick. Ms. Bostick lives in Lexington and has a student at Lexington High School.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. Let me see what the height is. Can you step up?
Hi. This has been the hardest year of my life, and it's affected my family very much. What you're teaching the kids is that they're being virtuous by putting on the mask, while I'm telling my son, don't be afraid, you're healthy. You don't need to wear a mask. Every day he goes to school, he hears something else. It's caused butt heads. I don't live with my son anymore because he's hearing one thing at school and he's hearing the truth at home. It is sick. You have no idea how many families you've broken up and the psychological damage you're doing to all these children. I am angry. And here's what I need to say. I'd like to call for a vote tonight to make masks optional.
Thank you, Ms. Bostick. Next, we have Tricia Evans. Ms. Evans lives in Lexington and has students at Pleasant Hill Elementary and Pleasant Hill Middle.
No, you're fine. I'll wait whenever you want me to. Okay. Good evening, Dr. Little, board. A lot of y'all know me. Y'all have seen my face. I know Dr. Little. I know several of the board. This is my son, Caleb. He's an 8th grader at Pleasant Hill Middle. I have a 5th grader. He's also with Dr. Little's daughter. I come on behalf of my boys. They're both in the partial Spanish immersion program. I have an 8th grader. In January of this year, he was hospitalized at Three Rivers Behavioral Health for 4 days because of the mask issues. He felt isolated. He felt like he did not matter. He could not talk to his friends. That was the hardest decision my husband and I ever had to make. But we had to do it because he's worth it. He has the diagnosis before going there of autism disorder. He left there with the primary diagnosis of adjustment disorder with depressed mood, and his secondary diagnosis is autism spectrum disorder mild. He's been seeing a private counselor for the past 2.5 years. Before January, before the school year, he was concentrating on anxiety in social situations, not on how to interact, but how to deal and be working through those situations and deal with social interaction with friends. He had conquered a lot of that, and then COVID happened. His anxiety skyrocketed, and as a parent, that's not okay. That's not okay. Then my second son, who never had anxiety ever, cried and cried and cried. He could not wear a mask. I had to go to his pediatrician. Actually, Dr. Guyton, I know you've seen us before too, who gave us the note, of doctor's note. I had to fight at our school. He missed the first 2 days of school because the school did not have it together, and I contacted them in July. The two biggest driving forces of me to be here tonight, because I'm not a public speaker, I would much rather sing in front of a crowd of 1,000 than speak in a crowd of the small, but I do it for my children. It is time now, you guys. You have to vote. Lexington and Richland 5 just did it. It starts May the 10th. I just saw it online. You have that right. The governor said it's not your place anymore. It's ours. There's no executive order needed. I've emailed Molly Spearman. She tried to tell me, oh, I need to wear, it's because of this and that. She doesn't even wear a mask when she's speaking. I'm sorry. When you, as a public official who says that you are at the Department of Ed and you are not wearing a mask, oh, I'm vaccinated. It doesn't matter. Enough is enough. And I've had enough. My kids have had enough. Everybody in this room has had enough. There's a bunch of people that just been out there, they've had enough. So I say vote now. Enough is enough. We are done. Unmask our kids.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Next, we have Chris Neely. Mr. Neely lives in Lexington and has a student at Midway Elementary.
3 of them.
3 students at Midway Elementary.
Raise it up. So thank you. I'm Chris Neely. I live here in Lexington, South Carolina. I've been living here for about 10 years. Some of you may know me, Miss Anne Marie, Dr. Little. I just want to tell you thank you so much for what you do. I know you probably haven't heard that a lot. Some people have. People appreciate what you're doing, whether it feels like it sometimes like tonight or not. I'm not going to sit here and go over numbers or quote anything any different than anybody's probably done before. I understand you're under pressure, and believe me. I kind of deal in politics a little bit. I try not to. I don't really like it that much. I'm in a little bit grassroots here and there. Believe me. And I know how easy it might be for y'all to say there's only 25 days left. Just get through hey, I'm there with you sometimes. I wish sometimes I could just get through the next couple weeks of work, and I want to go on vacation and that kind of thing. But I'm asking you tonight, these people have come here, they've poured their hearts out. Some of them have kind of, spoke real passionately. And please don't take some of the stuff personal. It's really, they're coming from the heart. They care about their kids. They do care about this community. I've talked to them out there. I spent a little time before I came in here to learn about this because I wasn't involved in this before tonight. I mean, I'm involved in the community. I've got other things that I work on. But I was asked by someone, she was telling me, it was actually at another event last night, and she was said how important it was to her, and I started talking about coming here. And maybe I said, I'll come with you, because it's my kids involved too, and I believe that. I believe we have the ability to, right now, to make a decision to open it up. And all I'm asking is you to stand with us. I'll be here to support you. I know some people around here. You know some people around here, just like me, that are involved. You don't find people like us every day. I'm not saying I'm powerful. I'm not rich, but I'll stand there with you. These people will, as emotional as they are, they will stand here with you. They made a decision in District 5 to do the same, from what I hear. We're all the same people. We're all South Carolinians. All we're asking here is let the families be self-governing. Let them make a decision for their kids. If not now, when? Are we going to wait till the summertime to make this decision? Let's just do it now. Let's just get it over with, pull that Band-Aid off, and let's get back to our lives in South Carolina. Y'all remember the slogan? Beautiful faces and smiling faces in beautiful places. Social interaction is in our DNA in South Carolina. I've lived in South Carolina my entire life. I love this state. And you can't interact socially the same, and you know it. You see the kids differently when they have masks on when they don't. That's the bottom line. And being in school is a part. The biggest part is learning social interaction. No matter what you try to learn in math class or whatever it is, social interaction is the biggest thing. So I'm asking for your vote tonight, please. Help these people be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neely. Next, we have Brian Minogue. Mr. Minogue lives in Lexington and has a student or students at Beechwood Middle.
Good evening. I was outside. I wasn't planning to speak. I've just been watching everybody. I've heard all the numbers and everybody's opinions, personal and not. I know the position you're in. I'm sure it's difficult. I'd like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt that all the actions they take are in best interest of what they believe to be the best interest. I'd also like that opportunity to be afforded to the parents, of which I am one. I'd like to be afforded the opportunity to do what's in the best interest of my child. As I was outside, I had no intention of speaking, but I was listening to some of the verbiage and the words out there. And, there's a whole us versus them being developed, with us being the folks out here fighting for the kids and you being them, okay? And that never ends well. I would like to think we're all here, we're all in Lexington for the same reason, because we care, we love the town, we love the schools. It's why we move people here. It's why we put our kids here, and we're always talking the place up. And now, as I said outside, I heard some things that I hadn't heard from here, especially from a lot of my new Southern friends. They generally don't get as agitated or as cynical as those of us from the Northeast. And I heard a lot of words. I heard a lot of words. A lot of people out there are not happy with you at all. And I always try to give it a benefit of doubt and say you're taking actions based on the best available information and the best guidance that you're getting from any legal representation or whatever. But I also tell them, having been in government myself for 25 years, that by the time you get to a public meeting, everything's been decided, it's pantomime. So I'd like to think that in South Carolina here, it is not New York City pantomime like it always is. I hope that everyone will take into account what was spoken by all the other people before me. Please give a vote. Give me the right to send my child back to school, not virtual, which has been a total disaster. And I work from home. I'm home there to supervise that, but I'm not a teacher. And on the other side of it is the social interaction part. And I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard 55 times tonight. Please do the best you can, make the right decision, and give parents their choice to raise and send their children to school the way they would like to. Just like, you wouldn't like someone coming to your house telling you how to raise your kids. We don't like the government coming to our house telling us how to raise our kids. And one other thing, just so you know the flavor of it, I know I'm not telling anything you don't know. Everybody looks at the actions. We're in here, we're wiping down, I'm standing on a line after I just stood outside for 2 hours shaking hands and glad handing with everybody, but I come in here because the government said, and I got to stand apart, and I got to wipe down on this. But, I go to the supermarket and I touch anything I want and go wherever I want. So it's very incongruous for us. We're not all the sharpest tools in the box, but we can see what's going on in front of us. If this is really about what everybody says it's really about, then we'd really be doing something about it. And this is a pantomime. And I just appreciate it. Have a vote. Give me my rights back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minogue. Next, we have Brad Cheney. Mr. Cheney lives in Lexington.
He's not here.
All right, we will save Brad in case he's here later. Next, we have Angela Crewer. Is it Crewer?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Crewer lives in Lexington and has a student or students at Rocky Creek.
Good evening. I'm the mother of 4 children. We moved here from New York a year ago. When my neighbors ask me why I left New York, I typically respond 2 words: Andrew Cuomo. Little did I know that the tyranny would follow me down to South Carolina. Looking around, this is disgraceful. You have barred tax-paying parents from a public meeting in a public building. 15 here, 15 over there. You have parents waiting outside in the rain. Enough. This ends tonight. You have parents standing outside in the rain begging you to allow their young children to breathe freely in order to receive an education. Shame on every one of you. You are the Board of Education, and you are asking our children to bear the burden of adults' fear for a virus that does not affect them the same way it affects adults. Shame on you. You now have 3 vaccines offered to anyone who is worried about this virus, yet you're still requiring young children to be muzzled for 6 hours a day. Shame on you. According to DHEC, South Carolina has an infection rate of 3%. Dr. Little, what is your number? What is your number that will allow you to remove these masks from our children? Is it 3%? 2%? 1%? What is it? We do not have a mask mandate in this state, in this county, or in this town. Then why do our children have a mask on their face? Shame on you. We are not asking you to take off your purple princess mask that you think protects you from a virus. We, the parents, are asking for a choice. If you think barring parents from a Board of Education meeting, we are going to go away, you're wrong. All you did tonight was make us a hell of a lot more angrier. We elect you people to represent us, our children to be their voice. How can you hear their voice while they're wearing a mask? Our boots are on the ground, and we are just getting started, and we are coming for your seats. That's not a threat, that is a promise. We will vote you out. This madness ends tonight, and I demand a vote tonight to make masks optional. Tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Crewer. Next, we have Chandler Morris. Chandler Morris. Chandler Morris. All right. Looks like we might have a little brigade back there. Are you Braden Pittman?
That's me.
Okay, and Chandler Morris?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we have Chandler and Braden, and one is a student at Lexington Middle School and one is a student at River Bluff High School. Are y'all speaking together, or are you each speaking separately?
We're speaking together and separately. We're going back and forth.
Okay, all right. Just take it away, guys.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Hi, I'm Braden Pittman. I go to River Bluff High School. I'm in 10th grade, and the masks have really been a problem for me.
I'm Chandler Morris. I'm in 8th grade, and I go to Lexington Middle. Because of COVID, learning has been a struggle for me. We would like to discuss the struggle we face with learning because of the different problems with COVID.
The masks are a problem with socialization because I'm a very social person, and I try to talk to my friends at school, but my teacher always tells us to social distance, and it's really hard to hear them. We have to stay 6 feet away, and at the end of the conversation, there's no point in communicating anyway, because it's so hard to talk. Also, there's been a struggle with breathing in certain situations because it's so hard to breathe with the mask up. And if you pull it below your nose, the teachers always threaten you to write you up. And there was this teacher today who threatened to write me up because I pulled my mask down, and she came back up to me later after no one was around, and then she threatened to write me up again because no one was around, and I had my mask off.
Another thing I feel like we should talk about is the plexiglass. So in ELA, we're supposed to do like group talking. And now the plexiglass is off, so that's not really a problem anymore. But before, whenever we had the plexiglass, in ELA we had to do group talking, and it was really hard to do that because like we were trying to like talk around the plexiglass so that we could like talk about like the books we're reading and stuff, and it's a lot harder to do that with the plexiglass. We still have to take the PACER test and PE, and afterwards we have to put our mask straight back on, and it's really hard to breathe. And like there's some kids that say that they feel like they're about to throw up because they have to wear their masks after doing the PACER test. This year we're not really able to communicate with our friends like we used to because of because we're not able to go into the lunchroom. We all have like our separate classrooms. There's only like 10 kids in each class for the eating the lunch, and we're just really not able to like communicate with people anymore. Yeah. Oh yeah, we usually like hang out with our friends after school, without our masks. So I really and like none of us have gotten COVID, so I really feel like it's not really that big. It doesn't really help that much if none of us have been getting COVID like without wearing the masks. I feel like none of us would be getting COVID without wearing the mask at school. So yeah.
All right. Braden, did you have anything else to say? No, y'all did a great job. Thank you guys for coming this
All right,
evening.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Catherine Veenweg. Is it Veenweg? Veenweg? Veenweg. Catherine Veenweg. She lives in Lexington, and she has a student at Lake Murray Elementary.
I am here to ask that the mask mandate be optional. I am a licensed hairstylist. I work with a lot of children. My husband is in law enforcement, so as you can imagine, he sees a lot of things. We decided that when we were going to have children, we were going to teach them body autonomy. Their body was their choice. No one was allowed to touch them. No one is allowed to do things to them that is not what they want. My daughter is 9 years old. She does not want these masks anymore. She comes home crying because she gets in trouble. And you know what I tell her? Take the mask off. What are they going to do to you? Take the mask off. And if you have a teacher that does not want you to take the mask off, you tell them, call your mom. Simple as that. Call your mom. I will come pick you up right then and there. My child does not need to suffer when she's at school. She has severe anxiety, and it has gotten a lot worse this year. I have family who is also in this district. I have a niece who has ADHD. She can't keep her mask on, even with medication. Make it optional. Allow parents to choose. Allow students to have body autonomy. Let them know it is okay to take the mask off. It is okay to breathe fresh air. And if someone has a problem, they need to come talk to their parents, because we are responsible for our children, not the school board. It is our choice. My child is going to take her mask off.
Thank you very much, Ms. Veenweg. All right, next we have Debbie Myers. Ms. Myers lives in Lexington.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Little, and guests. My name is Debbie Myers, taxpayer, grandparent. I have 15 grandchildren, 2 on the spectrum, wife, mother, and I have formerly been in your position as a school board member in another state. So I understand the situation in which you have been placed. Policy from a bureaucracy that is bloated, managed from the top down, and with limited flexibility as a representative of the ones you were elected to represent. I speak today as a person who is a non-mask wearer. I cannot wear a mask. Sad that I must explain my health and well-being to you on this occasion, but because of the fear and the hysteria that has gripped our community, being subjected to sneers, glares, judgments from people who do not know me is something I live with on a daily basis. So do my grandchildren who are in this district. I am not uncaring, unpatriotic, uneducated, having a condition that precludes me from masking. I'm not going to go into any more of that because I have limited time. It's in writing. I am requesting formally that every bit of this be entered into the record tonight because I'm probably not going to get through it. Okay, Jada, you're my girl. Thank you. I was refused access to my grandchild's school in October of 2020. I was harassed by the staff at Pellington High School. My grandchild was refused service until the staff there, quote, dealt with me. I was never given an actual reason, policy reason for that. I was told I had to produce documentation of my medical exemption, and this is clearly a violation of HIPAA, by the way, and I'm still considering legal action. After multiple phone calls, it was determined that there was no policy in place regarding masks, only agreed upon protocols. I spoke to Anne Marie about that. Interesting, since I never agreed to such a thing. My conclusion is that the powers that be agreed on my behalf. Okay, I'm a free American. This is outrageous. Fortunately, I have entered a few schools recently, and to my surprise and delight, I was not harassed upon entry. Progress, but my grandchildren and all children are still being forced to wear masks for 8 to 10 hours a day in this district, whether inside, outside, or on their school buses. Or sports events, I guess. In spite of the actual science, and in spite of the fact that less than 1% of individually are currently COVID positive, if that number can even be trusted. Children as a group are not and have not been contracting COVID. Y'all know it. Treating all people as if they are diseased is criminal. There is no statistical evidence that asymptomatic people have spread the virus, and there's currently no mask ordinance in the town or county of Lexington. Mask mandates have been lifted from governmental buildings, according to the governor's office. So why are the schools still forcing mask wearing with no flexibility? Hello.
Thank you, Ms. Myers.
Okay.
We have your remarks, and I'll make sure that all the board members get a copy.
Okay, I want it in the record with the documentation.
We don't put verbatim citizens' participation in our minutes, but it will be on the video, so.
Okay, so you're not going to enter my documentation into your records as a submission to the board. Am I understanding that?
That's correct.
Okay. I demand a vote. Respectfully.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Next, we have Jake Souls. Mr. Souls lives in Lexington.
Informed consent is required for investigational medical therapies. Regardless of the lack of safety and efficacy behind the decision to require a child to wear a mask, it is illegal to mandate EUA-approved investigational medical therapies without informed consent. Mask use for viral transmission prevention is authorized for emergency use only. Emergency use authorization by the FDA means the products are investigational and experimental only. The statute granting the FDA the power to authorize medical product of emergency use requires that the person being administered the unapproved product be advised of his or her right to refuse administration of the product. This statute further recognized the well-settled doctrine that medical experiments or clinical research may not be performed on human subjects without the express informed consent of the individual receiving treatment. The right to avoid the imposition of human experimentation is fundamental, rooted in the Nuremberg Code of 1947, has been ratified by the 1964 Declaration of Helsinki, and further codified in the United States Code of Federal Regulations. In addition to the United States regarding itself as bound by these provisions, these principles were adopted by the FDA and its regulations requiring the informed consent of human subjects for medical research. The law is very clear. It is unlawful to conduct medical research, even in the case of emergency, unless steps taken to secure informed consent of all participants. Furthermore, by requiring children to wear a mask, you are promoting the idea that the mask can prevent or treat a disease, which is an illegal, deceptive practice. It is unlawful to advise that a product or service can prevent diseases unless you possess competent and reliable scientific evidence substantiating that claims are true. The FDA EUA for surgical and/or cloth masks explicitly states the labeling must not state or imply that the mask is intended for antimicrobial or antiviral protection or related, or for use of such as infection prevention or reduction. As you can see from the image below, which I can pass out if you need, masks do not claim to keep out viruses. Illegally mandating an investigational medical therapy generates liability. There are no efficacy standards on child-sized masks, respirators under OSHA, but there are proven microbial challenges as well as breathing difficulties that are created and exacerbated by masking children. Requiring children to wear masks sets the stage for contracting any infection, including COVID-19, and making the consequences of that infection much graver. In essence, a mask may very well put children at an increased risk of infection, and if so, having a far worse outcome. The fact that mask wearing prevents a severe risk of harm to the wearer should stand alone, not be required for children, and would warrant an infringement of their constitutional rights and bodily autonomy. Emergency use authorization of a mask is unwarranted and illegal.
Thank you, Mr. Souls. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us this evening. Next, we have Brittany Little. Ms. Little lives in Lexington and has a student at Pleasant Hill Elementary.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so I wasn't planning to speak tonight. I just decided to leave you with this. I've been standing outside for 4.5 hours. I just want every person in the board to know that there's 5,000 people watching this on YouTube. The majority does not want their kids to wear masks. You guys will not be here next year. So I please pray to you that you help us out. Our kids need this. Like, I just don't think you understand how detrimental this is on the health of our kids. And I have 3 children. There are kids everywhere that are terrified to hang out with my kids. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And you should be ashamed of yourselves that you let it go this long. This is absolutely insane. Honestly, I feel like I'm a walking miracle. I haven't gotten COVID. I've never worn a mask, although everyone I know that has worn a mask has gotten COVID. It's the craziest thing. But yet kids still aren't getting it. So I just want all of you to know that we will remember every single one of you that votes either yes or no tonight. We will know. And there's a bunch of people outside that are waiting for this vote. So we would really appreciate it. If not, we're just gonna stick around. And then if not, we'll be back in 2 weeks and we'll be here in double numbers. So if 3.5 hours wasn't bad enough, get ready for 7. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Ms. Little. And did Mr. Cheney, did he leave? So he is not here. Brad Cheney, just want to give him one more chance. All right. Is there anyone else that did not fill out a card that would like to speak? Want to make sure that everyone has a chance. We really do appreciate everyone coming this evening and sharing with us your passionate remarks. I think yes, I think that we are going to take a quick 5-minute break because we've all been sitting here for a long time, and so we'll be right back. I think we can just